Hey Rufus, what do you think of the new Robert Plant album? You know he was a dog lover, right? Had a dog named Strider. What do you think? You like it? Saving Grace? Like the last one better? Rufus doesn't say a lot, but... Hello, welcome to Tim's Vinyl Confessions. I'm Tim Derling. I want to thank you for watching. Once again, this is a review episode. We talk about an album that has been out for a few weeks now by a legendary rock and roller who has basically stopped playing rock and roll, and he's doing exactly what he wants to do. I'm talking, of course, about Robert Plant. So his latest album is called Saving Grace. And it's once again on None Such Records, distributed by Warner. And he's still using his Esperanza logo there. And one thing I find interesting about this little digipack here is this is actually smaller than your... Like if you hold a standard size CD up to this, this is a little bit smaller. But also this features Susie Diane on here, or Diane. I'm not sure how to say that. Of late, you know, he's really gotten into having another female singer to sing against, whether it's, of course, Alison Krauss, who he's done 2 full albums with, or Patty Griffin, and this time around it's this Susie Diane. This is the full. I'm assuming that if I were to get the vinyl, that would be the back cover of the vinyl. This is kind of a follow-up to his 2002 album, Dreamland, in that I'm pretty sure that this is all cover songs. And in typical Robert Plant fashion, they're not your average, you know, cover songs that a 70-plus-year rock and roller would be doing. Very, very traditional sounding songs, a lot of gospel, a lot of Americana, and to be quite honest with you, it's the sort of thing that I would never have liked a few years ago. I never would have had any interest in listening to this stuff, even after I got into Led Zeppelin. It just wouldn't have been my thing, but I have to credit my wife Sarah for getting me listening to it, and subsequently albums like Lullaby and the Ceaseless Roar and Carry Fire are like great mood albums to put on. Like it's mellow, it's laid back, it's acoustic, but it's got that familiar voice. You know, it's Robert Plant. Although I will say this, on this album, a lot of the songs, it doesn't necessarily sound like him. I mean, obviously it is when, you know, this male voice, but, you know, it's advancing years. For the most part, you can tell instantly that it's Robert Plant. But so Chevrolet, first song, and it's... he probably did it based on the Donovan version of it, but it's an older song. Great way to start the album. As I Roved Out, you can tell by, like, this is what I love about reading the lyrics to these songs. They're very, not even old-timey, but they're almost Old English. Because who says, I'm about to rove out? Nobody says that, you know. And there's... he's only got the lyrics to certain songs in here, and he must have wanted to, you know, really have people focus on there. Like I said, there's a little bit of some gospel material in here. There's a song called Gospel Plow. There's one called Higher Rock. Soul of a Man is a Blind Willie Johnson song. I mean, that's obviously the type of blues thing that he would have been into years ago and would have made its way into Led Zeppelin. It's a very short album. And if you like the last few Robert Plant albums, I can't see why you wouldn't like this one. If you're not into it, like I said, this is not... The only thing rock about any of these modern day Robert Plant albums is that they're Robert Plant albums. How can they not be rock albums, right? But they're Americana, they're acoustic based, they're a lot of them are very old country, and then he actually goes so far back into these traditional songs. You know, if a song is honestly called a traditional song, it's because it's so old that no one's really sure who wrote it, because it was like oral tradition passed down. And he's a real student of resurrecting some of these old songs. And so subsequently, every once in a while, if I'm watching some sort of documentary and I hear a really old song, I'm like, hey, Robert Plant did that, which is probably exactly his goal. And he's got a completely different band. I don't think any of these musicians I'm very honored. Sarah and I had the privilege of seeing Robert Plant and the Sensational Space Shifters play live in 2019. Mind-blowing. Was just immensely rewarding to be standing, X few feet away from a living legend of rock and roll. I mean, he had just a fantastic band, but I'll tell you who's on this album. Of course, you've got Robert Plant. He plays a little harmonica. A guy named Matt Worley, acoustic guitar, steel banjo, nylon string banjo, quattro, and vocals. I know what a quattro is thanks to my good friend Kevin Mulrine's book on Yes, the Tromato album, because John Anderson plays. It's a stringed instrument. It's sort of like a guitar or ukulele type of thing. Ole Jefferson on drums, Tony Kelsey on guitar, various guitars. Like we said, Susie Diana on vocals and accordion, and Barney Morse Brown on cello. So just the fact of the instrumentation on that album should give you an idea that, this is not exactly Led Zeppelin 2. And why would it be? He's doing exactly what he wants to do. I am so glad that, unlike so many of his contemporaries, he is not trying to sing like he did in his 20s. He's found that lower register. It's very rich, it's a very easy voice to listen to. And he always picks the right singers to balance that against. He's doing songs that he would have loved to have sung back probably in the Led Zeppelin days, but just didn't have the avenue to. Although, if you're a big fan of, say, Led Zeppelin 3, which of course is primarily acoustic, then you'll probably like this newer stuff. It's just different. It's definitely nothing on here that's gonna, there's no Tall Cool One on here. There's no Big Log or Little by Little. No hit singles on this album. And it demands to be listened to in its entirety. That's relatively, like all of his albums, they're relatively short albums. They don't outstay their welcome. So, like I said, just a few years ago, I didn't own any of Robert Plant's solo catalog, and now I think I've got most of it. And really enjoy these latter-day albums, but I guess that comes with aging, and there's nothing wrong with that. I still love the old stuff, but this is newer old stuff. So Robert Plant, Saving Grace. I'm curious out there, does anybody have this album? What do you think of it? How do you think it compares to his last few? Love to hear from you. Linked all my books is below, and TeePublic merch. TeePublic is expanding what they are making available. They've got caps now. They're coming out with purses. I know some of you dudes out there, just remember, you can still be tough and carry your stuff. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching this edition of Tim's Vinyl Confessions. Go listen to some Robert Plant.